Very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. The stage is set for India's biggest tax reform. There will be a gala midnight event for the GST launch. However, the opposition parties are going to boycott it. That is our top focus this morning. That and much more in this bulletin, starting with the headlines. All set for midnight rollout of GST from Central Hall in Parliament. Several opposition parties to boycott. Finance Minister appeals to them to attend. Vice Presidential election to take place 5th of August. A poll to be notified on 4th of July. Election result to be declared the same day. Prime Minister's stern message to cow vigilantists says killing people in the name of cow protection unacceptable. Opposition calls it lip service. India defeat West Indies by 7 wickets in a second group game at ICC Women's World Cup to face Pakistan next on Sunday. And a trailer of Rajya Sabha television production Raakh unveiled in Parliament, also released in Mumbai. Film scheduled to hit screens worldwide on 28th of July. The biggest indirect tax reform, the GST, is set for a midnight launch in Parliament's Central Hall today. The historic launch will be done in the presence of President Pranab Mukherjee, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari, members of Parliament, state finance ministers and chief ministers. The function will begin at 11 p.m. and a gong will be sounded at midnight to usher in the GST. Both the President and the Prime Minister will deliver their address, and 2 short films on GST will be screened. Former Prime Ministers Dr. Manmohan Singh and H.D. Deve Gowda also have been invited. It will be a starry midnight that will have also megastar Amitabh Bachchan, industry doyen Ratan Tata, as well as the singer Lata Mangeshkar in attendance. The midnight function is reminiscent of India's tryst with the destiny on the midnight of 15th of August, 1947. Meanwhile, the Congress party will keep away from the special midnight meeting convened by the government to announce the implementation of the GST regime. The decision was taken after Congress President Sonia Gandhi met former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh along with the other leaders on Thursday. Now, the party has had wide-range discussions with other parties who were attending the special midnight event, while some leaders felt that the GST was the party's brainchild and therefore they should attend the 30th of June event. Others who favoured not attending it said that the tax was being implemented in haste and will lead to harassment of small traders and businessmen. Left leaders also were not inclined to attend the special GST meeting, and they are likely to skip it along with other opposition parties as well. Meanwhile, the Trinamool Congress has already announced its decision to boycott the event. Meanwhile, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has appealed to the Congress and the left parties to reconsider their decision of boycotting the GST launch event.
देश में जो कुछ भी हो रहा, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री चुप्पी साधे हैं, बीजेपी के कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर चुप्पी साधे हैं, जो वरना दिन में 10 बाइट्स देते हैं उल्टी सीधी। बीजेपी के चीफ मिनिस्टर्स चुप्पी साधे हुए हैं कि इस स्वतंत्र भारत में भारतीय जनता पार्टी के राज में क्या हो रहा।
This is an economic integration of the nation. That way it's a historic. And then what are they talking? We are discussing about a special session meeting of the parliamentarians about introduction of GST. They are talking of some farmers. They are talking of they are talking of something else.
We believe this is probably the single most important taxation reform in the last 70 years, and I'm sure it will prove beneficial both to the economy and to the country itself. I hope every political party will reconsider and revisit its decision and be a party to the launch of a massive reform to which they have been themselves privy to.
And the JTO has left it to its MPs to decide whether they want to attend the GST launch event in Parliament today. Now, the Nitish Kumar-led party had earlier been in favour of attending the event, but it was wary of further alienating its allies in Bihar, the Congress and the RJD, after its decision to support the NDA candidate in the presidential polls invited angry reactions from them. While a senior JDU leader and Rajya Sabha member Sharad Yadav is likely to skip the midnight event, several party MPs say that they are yet to get an instruction about whether to attend it or not. Remember, the party has 12 members in Parliament. And the GST Council will meet today to review last-minute status before the levy of the new tax regime. Now, there are speculations that there may be a rethink on tax rates following protests and strikes by various industry associations. However, that is unlikely to happen. Sectors such as textile manufacturers have gone on a strike, calling for lower duties. And the GST Council meeting, which is scheduled for a late evening, will then be followed by dinner, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also likely to be present. The members will then move on to Parliament to attend the midnight launch of the new indirect tax reform. The delay in the introduction of GST by Jammu and Kashmir is likely to be discussed at the Council's meeting. Another round of meetings of the Council may take place later next month to make modifications that may be required. Now, the Council, which is chaired by Union Finance Minister Arun Jaitley and includes ministers from all states and union territories as its members, had last met on 19th of June. On to some other news now. The Election Commission has announced the dates for the election to the office of the Vice President. The election that will be notified on 4th of July will take place before the term of Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari ends on 10th of August. Here is a detailed report.
The Election Commission announced that the election to the office of the Vice President will take place on August 5th. Results will be announced the same day. The election will be notified on July 4th, while nominations can be submitted by July 18th. After the scrutiny on July 19th, the last date to withdraw nominations will be July 21st.
The Vice President is elected by the members of the Electoral College, consisting of members of both houses of Parliament in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of the single transferable vote. Date on which counting, if required, shall be taken is also 5th August 2017, that is Saturday.
The Vice President is also the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. The term of the Vice President, Mohammad Hamid Ansari, is coming to an end on August 10th. He has held the post for 2 terms in a row. Pranav Goswami's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the scrutiny of nominations for the presidential poll is over. The nomination of all presidential candidates, barring of NDA nominee Ram Nath Kovind and opposition-backed Meera Kumar, were rejected in the scrutiny. About 95 persons had filed their nominations, including Kumar and Kovind. Now, except the 2 main contenders, the nominations of the rest were rejected as none of them were proposed and backed by the required number of members of the Electoral College. The opposition candidate Meera Kumar filed her nomination paper on the last day of filing nominations on Wednesday. She will now launch her campaign today in Gandhinagar. NDA's Ram Nath Kovind filed his nomination paper on 23rd of June. Election for the next President of India will be held on 17th of July and the counting of votes will take place on the 20th of July. Let's move on in the bulletin now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has once again hit out at cow vigilantists. In an emotional message from Ahmedabad, Prime Minister Modi said that killing people in the name of cows is unacceptable. The Prime Minister is on a 2-day visit to Gujarat.
In a stern message to cow vigilantes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated that killing people in the name of cow protection is not acceptable. The Prime Minister was speaking at the centenary celebrations of the Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad.
हम कैसे आपात हो रहे हैं? डॉक्टर को मार दें, अकस्मात हो जाए, ड्राइवर को मार दें, गाय के नाम पर इंसान को मार दें, कि गाय के नाम पर किसी की हत्या की जाए। वो निर्दोष है कि गुनहगार है, वो कानून का काम करेगा। इंसान को कानून हाथ में लेने का हक नहीं है।
Prime Minister Modi's remarks come in the wake of several incidents of lynching and murder by self-styled cow vigilante groups over rumors of cow slaughter. Earlier this month, 16-year-old Hafiz Junaid was killed on board a Mathura-bound train by people who taunted his family by repeatedly calling them anti-nationals and beefeaters. This is the second time that the Prime Minister has spoken against cow vigilantism. Last August, Modi criticized the actions of self-styled cow vigilantes and asked the states to prepare dossier on them. He said that inflicting violence went against the ideals of the father of the nation.
गाय की रक्षा, गौ की भक्ति महात्मा गांधी और विनोबा भावे से बढ़कर के कोई नहीं होता। अगर गाय की भक्ति करनी है, गाय की रक्षा करनी है, तो गांधी जी ने और विनोबा जी ने हमें उत्तम राह दिखाई। जिस देश में महात्मा गांधी जैसे महापुरुष ने अहिंसा का पाठ पढ़ाया, क्या हो गया हमें?
The Prime Minister started his 2-day visit to his home state on Thursday and is scheduled to attend programs in Ahmedabad, Rajkot, Mudasa and Gandhinagar. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the opposition attacked Prime Minister Narendra Modi over his warning to those killing people in the name of cow protection. They said it was too little, too late, and that what was required was actual action on the ground. Some of the parties described Prime Minister Modi's comments as a mere lip service and expressed apprehensions that attacks by vigilante groups would continue. Now, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi took to Twitter and said it was too little, too late, and that words mean nothing when actions outdo nothing. Now, CPIM General Secretary Sitaram Yechuri also seconded the Congress leaders. However, former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Omar Abdullah was at variance with the other opposition leaders as he lauded Prime Minister Modi's remarks and expressed hope that the vigilantes would heed the Prime Minister's advice. And in Breakfast News, time for a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
Key areas where Roorkee has contributed heavily is the building of all the dams in the country. Either the University of Roorkee, Thompson College of Engineering was directly involved, or it was supplying the manpower who were doing it. Engineering is not about building things alone. Engineering is about building theoretical models. So the most difficult part of engineering is actually done before you go to actual fabrication or manufacturing.
Watch Eureka with Professor Ajit Kumar Chaturvedi, Director, Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, only on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back after the break. Now, in the wake of the recent face-off between the Indian troops and Chinese army in Sikkim, Army Chief General Bipin Rawat on Thursday visited formation headquarters of the force in North Sikkim. He was briefed by top commanders about the entire security situation in the region. The Army Chief also visited areas under the 17 Mountain Division, tasked to guard the Sino-India border in the Sikkim sector, and took stock of the various operational aspects there. The genesis of the flashpoint was China's attempts to build a road at a strategically key area of Donglong, the linking of which to the Sikkim-Bhutan-Tibet tri-junction could give China a major military advantage over India. The Indian Army had blocked the construction of the road by China. Now, Bhutan has also accused China of directly violating the agreement between them by constructing a road inside its territory. There were reports of scuffle between Indian troops and the personnel of China's People's Liberation Army earlier this month. Now, Beijing has asked India to withdraw its troops from the Donglong area in Sikkim sector as a precondition for a meaningful dialogue to settle the boundary issue. Now, China has also warned that the Indian Army should learn historical lessons in an oblique reference to the 1962 war. Meanwhile, the Army Chief has said that India is prepared for security threats posed by China. And now an update on the Darjeeling unrest. As the unrest in the hills continued for the 21st day on Thursday, the Gorkha Janmukti Morcha, after an all-party meeting, announced that the indefinite shutdown will continue in the region. Amid the ongoing stir for carving out a separate Gorkha land out of West Bengal, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee firmly ruled out further division of the state. Banerjee also took a dig at the central government, saying that they cannot tackle Kashmir and called the stir a deep-rooted conspiracy. Meanwhile, a group of unknown people attacked a few policemen under the Rongliat police outpost. 2 policemen who were seriously injured were admitted at a private nursing home in Siliguri. Now, GJM had called indefinite shutdown in Darjeeling on 12th of June. While it has repeatedly rejected any possibility of talks with the state government maintains that it is ready for a discussion after the situation in the area normalizes. On to some international news now. US-backed forces say that they have fully encircled Islamic State fighters in the Syrian city of Raakh, the capital of the group's self-proclaimed caliphate. The Syrian Democratic Forces, or the SDF, an alliance of Kurdish Arab fighters, say that they have now sealed off escape routes to the south. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights Monitoring Group also confirmed that the last route out of the city had now been cut off. It is noteworthy that Islamic State seized Raakh in early 2014 and established its headquarters there. The SDF have been gradually advancing on the city since November and launched an offensive to take it on 6th of June. The coalition says that the capture of Raakh will deliver a decisive blow to the caliphate proclaimed by Islamic State in June 2014. Meanwhile, the United Nations says that at least 173 civilians had been killed in Raakh this month, and that up to 1 lakh people are trapped by the fighting there. The development comes as Iraqi forces captured the famous and hugely symbolic Al-Nouri Mosque in Mosul, where the Islamic State group's leader first declared the caliphate nearly 3 years ago. Big story coming in from the United States, and after months of fighting a legal squabbling, the Trump's administration modified a travel ban took effect. The new guidelines are designed to avert the chaos of the original law rollout, but the rules are likely to spawn a new round of court fights. Now, under the ban, citizens of the 6 targeted countries will be denied visas unless they can prove a close family relationship or a connection with the school or business in the United States.
This is the protection of the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States. We all know what that means. Protection of the nation from foreign terrorist entry into the United States. That's big stuff.
After months of winding through the courts, US President Donald Trump's travel ban comes into effect. This after the country's Supreme Court on Monday partially restored the ban. For entry into the United States, applicants now must prove a bona fide relationship with a US person or entity. If a close relationship is not established, one is banned for 90 days if from Libya, Syria, Iran, Somalia, Yemen and Sudan, and 120 days if one is a refugee from any country.
The creation of the terminology of the bona fide relationship has really only spread more across the board to provide uncertainty for people who are the most vulnerable across the world. And right now, the world is watching us. The world is watching the United States of America. And what they are saying is, we thought that that was the country for opportunity and justice for all, but it does not seem that way.
However, the officials say that visas that have already been approved will not be revoked. Authorities have assured that the implementation would be smooth, unlike the turmoil that greeted the original travel ban. US customs officers, lawyers and immigration officials will be at the country's airports to observe the ban's implementation. However, groups like Amnesty International have dispatched monitors to airports to observe whether anyone was being denied entry. Rights Group also suggests that more legal battles are to come.
A ban like this really hurts the family structure, especially when the State Department or the government or the Trump administration is now trying to define exactly what a family is. And, you know, I don't really think that the government is really in a position or should be in a position to do so. You know, as you all know, we're the plaintiffs in the IRAP v. Trump case. And come October, we are confident that we will prevail, that we will be able to give that voice to those in need.
On the campaign trail, then candidate Donald Trump called for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States. The original travel ban in January was imposed with no notice in an executive order, putting travelers in limbo. It was later put on hold by the country's lower courts. On Monday, the country's top court restored the ban partially, but will hear further arguments in the case in October. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. Let's get you some more international news in World Wrap. NATO allies have agreed to send more troops to Afghanistan nearly 3 years after the North Atlantic Treaty Organization or NATO ended combat operations. Thousands of troops have been requested to help train and support Afghan security forces, and 15 nations had already pledged additional contributions to resolute support the NATO mission to Afghanistan. Iraq declared the Islamic State group's caliphate was coming to an end after it recaptured Mosul's iconic Al-Nuri Mosque on Thursday, 3 years to the day after it was proclaimed by the jihadists. Iraqi authorities expect the battle to end in the coming days, as the Islamic State group has been bottled up in a handful of neighborhoods of the old city. A day after an alleged coup attempt in Venezuela, tensions boiled over anew on the streets of Caracas on Thursday as the youth, angry at President Maduro's upcoming Constituent Assembly, faced off with the riot police. Protesters ducked for cover as riot police from an overpass in the capital launched tear gas at the protesters. So far, 76 people have died in 3 months of protests in the country. Scores of protesters marched towards the National Electoral Council to denounce the Constituent Assembly as a fraud by the government. The United Nations Security Council unanimously approved a resolution on Thursday, sharply reducing the joint United Nations African Union peacekeeping force in Sudan's troubled Darfur region, a move pressed by the United States that will save hundreds of millions of dollars. The British drafted resolution will reduce the number of peacekeepers by 44% and the number of international police by about 27% in the Darfur mission, whose current budget is over $1 billion annually. On to some sports news. In ICC Women's World Cup, India defeated West Indies by 7 wickets in their second group game on Friday. Now, opting to bowl first, Indian bowlers put up a disciplined performance to restrict West Indies to 183 for 8 in their allotted 50 overs. In reply, India cruised to the target, riding on a scintillating unbeaten 106 by opener Smriti Mandhana. Captain Mithali Raj scored 46 runs as India reached the target with more than 7 overs to go. India now have won both their group games and will next face rivals Pakistan on Sunday. Meanwhile, in the men's cricket, the Indian team will look to take an unassailable lead against West Indies as they take on the hosts in the third ODI at North Sound today. India are 1-0 up in the 5-match series, having won the second ODI by 105 runs after the first game was washed out due to rain. For West Indies, it is important to stay in the series if they are to have a chance of qualifying for the 2019 World Cup. And Indian captain Virat Kohli opened up on the issue of new coach on Friday, saying that he will air his views on new coach only if his opinion is sought by the BCCI. Now, speaking at a pre-match conference ahead of the third ODI against West Indies, Virat Kohli said that there was a process that was put in place and individual opinion did not matter. BCCI is already looking for a new coach and have asked for applications. The last date to apply for Team India coach is the 9th of July. Now, Anil Kumble earlier stepped down as coach earlier this month, stating that his partnership with Kohli was untenable. He said that Kohli had reservations with his working style. And finally, the trailer of Rajya Sabha Television's first feature film, Raakh was released yesterday in Parliament House. This was the first time that a trailer of a film was launched inside the Parliament premises. Now, based on the infamous trials of Indian National Army during the Second World War era, the film will be released worldwide on 28th of July.
Captain Shah Nawaz Khan, Captain P.K. Sehgal, Section 41, Waging War Against the King.
The trailer of Rajya Sabha TV production Raakh was unveiled in Parliament on Thursday. The film, written and directed by Tigmanshu Dhulia and produced by Rajya Sabha TV CEO Gurdeep Sappal, is scheduled to hit the screens on 28 July. Starring Kunal Kapoor, Amit Saad and Mohit Marwa in lead roles, the movie is based on the Indian National Army trials during World War II.
और ड्रामा ये हुआ कि उनको इस पूरे एपिसोड के बाद इस देश से लाल किले से जाना पड़ गया। वो ब्रिटिश जहां फांसी देना चाहते थे, सुभाष चंद्र बोस वहां नहीं पहुंचे, लेकिन भारत की सरकार सॉवरेंटी का वो सिंबल बन गया। तो एक फिल्म के लिए पहली चीज़ है एंटरटेनमेंट और एक अच्छा प्लॉट, एक अच्छी कहानी। तो हम लोगों को लगा कि इसके अंदर हिस्ट्री भी है और इसका प्लॉट भी है और एक ऐसा चैप्टर है जो इस देश के लोगों को जानने की रुचि होगी।
फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल से करीब करीब 4 जनरेशन्स नहीं हो गई जो कि इंडिपेंडेंट इंडिया में पैदा हुई हैं, तो उनको फ्रीडम से जुड़ी हुई बहुत सारी इवेंट्स के बारे में कुछ पता नहीं है। राज्यसभा टीवी का ये प्रयास है कि उनको फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल से जुड़े हुए इवेंट्स पे फीचर फिल्म बना के उनको फेमिलराइज किया जाए कि फ्रीडम हमें कितनी मुश्किल से मिली है।
एंगेजिंग, एंटरटेनिंग, इंफॉर्मेटिव और हिस्टोरिकल है। अब हिस्टोरिकल आपने सबने देखा है, ये हम लोग की फिल्में हिस्ट्री को किस तरह से तोड़ मोड़ कर अकबर भी गाना गाने लगते हैं, ये भी करने लगते हैं। तो माफ़ करिएगा, इसमें सुभाष चंद्र बोस गाना नहीं गा रहे। तो इतिहास को बिल्कुल सच्चे ढंग से पेश किया गया है और असली बात है कि ये पूरा दौर था वो अपने आप में इतना ड्रामेटिक है कि उसमें कुछ एक्स्ट्रा ड्रामा क्रिएट करने की एज ए राइटर मुझको मेरे कोलीग्स को जो राइटर जिन्होंने मेरे साथ लिखी है फिल्म, हम लोगों को ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ी।
The film shows the Red Fort trials of 3 officers of the British Indian Army, Colonel Prem Sehgal, Colonel Gurbakh Singh Dhillon and Major General Shah Nawaz Khan, who joined Azad Hind Fauj of Subhash Chandra Bose and fought alongside the Japanese forces against British imperialism. All 3 were court-martialed for waging war against the British king and charged with treason and murder. The trials marked a defining moment in the history of the Indian freedom struggle, triggering a popular upsurge against the British and mutinies in the armed forces.
Feeling slightly shamed at the fact that, we didn't know enough about such an important part of our history. And I feel like a movie like this is really, really important. Firstly, not only is it very entertaining, not only is there lots of drama, action, everything that a good film has, but at the same time, it's, highlighting such an important part of our history, which I think the young generation really doesn't know anything about. So I feel like this is a really, really important film and I'm really happy to be part of it.
एक अलग सी एनर्जी जागृत हुई, एक अलग सा पैशन, एक अलग सा देश के लिए प्यार और कहीं ना कहीं बुरा भी लगा कि यार हम अपनी मॉडर्न लाइफ में इतने खो जाते हैं कि we kind of have forgotten all these contributions by these great men. So it's great to be a part of such a beautiful film. It's great to it's great it's coming out and people will get to see it.
The first teaser of Raakh was unveiled by the makers of the film on 23rd June. The film is scheduled for release on 28th July in over 800 cinema halls across the country. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
This trial. And the trailer of the movie was also launched in Mumbai yesterday. The director of the movie, Tigmanshu Dhulia, described it as a special project for him. The movie that is based on the Red Fort trials of 3 INA officers is set for worldwide release on 28th of July. That's it in this bulletin. Thanks for watching.